Common traits of social engineers. Now, let's imagine you're casting a movie. What kind of character would play the social engineer? Probably someone charming, quick thinking, maybe even a little manipulative. The truth is, social engineers don't wear black hoodies or sit in dark basements. They often blend in effortlessly, appearing as just another friendly face or helpful voice. Let's explore some of the traits that make them so successful. 1. Charisma and charm. Social engineers are often highly personable. They smile, make eye contact even through text or voice, and use small talk to break the ice. They aim to make you feel comfortable quickly. For example, oh hey, I think we met at last month's town hall. I really liked your question about hybrid work policies. Even if it's not true, it disarms you. 2. Emotional intelligence. These attackers are incredibly good at reading the room, even a virtual one. They can sense when you're stressed, unsure, or distracted, and they use those emotions to their advantage. For instance, if they detect hesitation, they might say, "Don't worry, I get it. It's been a hectic day. I just need 30 seconds of your time." That small empathy nudge builds rapport. 3. Confidence in lying, one of the most unsettling traits. Their ability to lie with absolute certainty. They may quote fake policy names, refer to fictional departments, or drop insider jargon. For example, this is in line with the data streamlining directive from compliance. We're just ticking off required boxes. Sounds real, right? But it's fabricated. 4. Meticulous research skills. Social engineers prepare in advance. They might review your LinkedIn profile, your company's press releases, or your org chart to make their story believable. Example, I was told by your VP, Angela Nwosu, to reach out to you. She mentioned you handle onboarding docs for new hires. They drop names and details like breadcrumbs to build trust. 5. Persistence and adaptability. If one method doesn't work, they pivot. If email fails, they may call. If a direct ask fails, they might try flattery or urgency next. Now, for example, oh, that's okay, you can send it. Maybe just point me to someone who can. They make every denial feel like just a detour, not a dead end. 6. Listening more than they talk. Social engineers are strategic listeners. They know that the more you speak, the more they learn. They'll ask open-ended questions that sound innocent but gather intelligence. For example, what software does your team use to log in remotely? Or do you all get phishing drills often? Let's take a look at this scenario for better understanding. You're at your desk when a man enters the office dressed in branded maintenance attire. He smiles and says, "Sorry to bug you. I'm with facilities here to check the HVAC readings. You all just got a notice about that, right?" He's confident, uses the right vocabulary, and walks in like he belongs. You don't want to be rude, so you nod and let him in. He's not from facilities. He just plugged a rogue device into your network. The social engineering kill chain, think of a heist movie. There's always a plan, casing the joint, building trust, executing the con, then disappearing without a trace. Social engineering follows a similar pattern known as the kill chain, a step-by-step process attackers use to plan, execute, and complete their con. Understanding each stage in the chain helps you break it. If you spot the process early, say during reconnaissance or engagement, you can prevent the attack before damage is done. Let's break it down. 1. Reconnaissance information gathering. In this first stage, the attacker is like a detective. They're gathering intel on their target. Names, roles, departments, vendors, internal tools, even work schedules. This can be done through public social media profiles. LinkedIn is a goldmine. Company websites and press releases, previous data breaches, dumpster diving. Yes, even physical trash. For example, an attacker discovers through LinkedIn that Janet is in HR and just posted about onboarding a large batch of interns. They now have a perfect entry point to pose as someone in that group. 2. Engagement. Establishing contact. Here's where the attacker makes their move. This could be a phone call, phishing email, text message, social media DM, or even an in-person visit. Their goal? Initiate communication without raising suspicion. For example, "Hi Janet, I'm one of the new summer interns. My orientation email bounced. Can you help me get access to the system?" The tone is polite, urgent, and relatable. That's the trap. 3. Exploitation, manipulation. Now they're inside your head. This is the heart of the kill chain where emotional triggers are pulled. The attacker uses authority, urgency, social proof, or flattery to manipulate you into doing what they want. What might they ask you to do? Share login credentials. Grant remote access to your computer, transfer money or data. Click a malicious link or open a document. For example, "Janet, this is Alex from IT. We're fixing the onboarding glitch you reported. Can I remote in quickly to resolve it?" You want to help. They sound legit. but if you don't verify, you've just opened the gates. 4. Execution. Attack or breach, this is the finale. The attacker uses what they've gathered, credentials, access, or trust to reach their objective. This could be installing malware or ransomware, exfiltrating sensitive data, changing financial details to reroute payments, sabotaging systems from within. By the time this stage hits, the damage has already begun. That's why catching earlier steps in the kill chain is so critical. Now let's reverse engineer this. If you stay alert during the recon or engagement stages, you might spot suspicious LinkedIn profile viewers, question odd requests or unfamiliar names, confirm instructions from another channel. Stopping the chain early is the cybersecurity equivalent of locking the vault before the thief ever gets inside. Remember, you don't have to be a cybersecurity expert to be a blocker in this chain. Just being aware of these steps makes you a stronger link in your organization's defense. Why humans are the primary target, let's be honest. Even with the most advanced firewalls, AI-powered intrusion detection systems, multi-factor authentication, and endpoint protection, one unsuspecting click or careless conversation can lead to a massive breach. That's because humans are not programmable. Unlike machines, we have good days and bad days. We get distracted. We multitask. We feel empathy, stress, fatigue, and curiosity, and attackers count on that. Let's dig into why the human element remains the weakest link in cybersecurity, and more importantly, what we can do about it. 1. Humans are emotionally driven. We make decisions based on emotion more often than logic, especially when under pressure. Social engineers create messages that evoke fear, excitement, or a sense of urgency to override our logical filters. For example, your job benefits will be suspended if you don't update your payroll info today. In panic, a user may click the link without questioning its legitimacy. 2. We see convenience over security. Let's be real. Security protocols can feel tedious. Complex passwords, logins, confirmations. When under pressure, people look for shortcuts. For example, a user might reuse the same password across multiple platforms or disable MFA because it's too much hassle. Why this matters is because attackers know this. A single credential leak from a social site might get them access to a business network. 3. People want to be helpful. Helping is in our nature, especially in professional environments. Social engineers exploit this by impersonating colleagues, superiors, or customers in need. For example, hey, I'm running late for a meeting. Can you print this secure doc for me and leave it at reception? It seems harmless and helpful, but it might expose confidential data. 4. Security awareness varies widely. Some employees are cybersecurity pros. Others may not know what phishing is. This inconsistency creates vulnerabilities. For example, a new hire might not recognize a suspicious link, especially if no one trained them to. The solution is to conduct regular training and reminders, build culture-wide awareness. That way everyone becomes part of the defense. 5. Attackers are getting smarter. With the rise of AI-generated voice calls, deepfake videos, and cloned email signatures, attackers can now mimic people with scary accuracy. For example, imagine getting a voice note that sounds exactly like your CEO asking you to transfer funds for a private deal. This isn't sci-fi anymore. It's happening. Think of this. Imagine you're working remotely from a cafe. You get a message from your IT admin about urgent security updates and a link to install the patch. It looks real. You click, but you just fell for a spear phishing attack. The Wi-Fi network was compromised and the message came from an attacker in the same cafe. No firewall could have protected you, but your awareness could have. Becoming the strongest link. The goal isn't to blame people, it's to empower them. When you understand your role in cyber defense, you become part of the solution. So how do we flip the narrative? 1, education over punishment. Encourage a speak-up culture where people aren't afraid to report suspicious behavior. 2, regular simulations, phishing tests, scenario-based training, and quizzes help sharpen instincts. 3, simple reporting processes make it easy to flag suspicious emails or requests. 4, celebrate awareness, reward people for spotting and stopping threats. Positive reinforcement works. Remember, technology defends the perimeter, but people guard the gate. The more you train, reflect, and stay alert, the more you transform from a vulnerability into a vital security asset. That's what we mean by the human firewall. Let's take a look at some real-world case studies of how major hacks in history was carried out. 1, the Twitter hack of 2020. In July 2020, Twitter experienced a major breach where high-profile accounts such as Elon Musk, Barack Obama, and Apple were taken over. The attackers didn't hack the code, they targeted Twitter employees with access to internal tools using social engineering. Once they gained the employees' trust, they got access to internal systems and used them to post cryptocurrency scams. What went wrong? 1. Attackers used phone spear phishing to trick employees into sharing credentials. 2. The attackers posed as internal IT staff and created a sense of urgency. 3. Once inside, they had administrator-level access. What can we learn? Even tech-savvy companies are vulnerable when humans are manipulated. Access to tools and credentials should be tightly controlled. Verifying internal requests is critical. 2. Kevin Mitnick, the original social engineer. Kevin Mitnick is one of the most famous hackers in history, and he didn't start with technical attacks. His most powerful tool was social engineering. In the 1980s and 90s, Mitnick posed as employees, IT support, and even law enforcement to trick people into giving away passwords, codes, and more. One of his most notable tactics was calling tech companies, pretending to be a new employee, and requesting access to systems. He was so convincing that few ever questioned him. What can we learn? A calm, confident voice can be more dangerous than a virus. Security processes should never be bypassed, even for someone who sounds legitimate. Ask yourself this: would you be able to say no to someone claiming to be your manager's manager if they were rushing you? Let's explore how to spot the red flags. Imagine you receive an email from what looks like your company's HR department. It says you're eligible for a benefits upgrade and asks you to click a link to a web form. The sender address is hr-dept-upgrade@company.net. Ask yourself, is the email address slightly off? Look closely, company is misspelled. Is there urgency or a reward? Act now to upgrade. Have you verified with HR through official channels? These small details often indicate a social engineering attempt. Checklist for identifying social engineering attempts. Do I know the sender personally or by job title? Is the language urgent, threatening, or overly rewarding? Is there a suspicious link or attachment? Does the request violate policy or protocol? Can I verify the information through a second channel? Additional tips for building the human firewall. Want to reinforce your role as a human firewall? Here are some tips. Pause before you click. Always take a moment to examine emails and messages before acting. Use multi-factor authentication, MFA. Even if someone gets your password, MFA adds another layer of protection. Report suspicious behavior. Never be afraid to escalate concerns. You're not overreacting, you're protecting your organization. Educate others. Share what you've learned with teammates. Awareness is contagious. Stay updated. Cyber threats evolve constantly. Regular training helps keep your instincts sharp. To conclude this module, here are a few questions to think about or journal. Have you ever experienced a social engineering attempt in your personal or professional life? Which psychological triggers are you most vulnerable to? Urgency, authority, trust. What will you start doing differently today to protect yourself and your team? You've now completed a comprehensive look at social engineering, from its psychological foundations to real-world examples and actionable defenses. Let's recap. Social engineering attacks target people, not just systems. Psychological manipulation is the core tactic. Trust, urgency, and authority are often exploited. Real attacks like the Twitter breach and Kevin Mitnick's cons show that even strong systems fail when people are manipulated. You have the power to stop attacks before they start by becoming a stronger human firewall. Coming up in Module 2, we'll dive into phishing, one of the most common and dangerous types of social engineering. You'll explore how phishing works, review real phishing messages, and learn foolproof ways to detect and block them.